Hi, so I'm going to talk to you today about how to answer this SAT question that we have here. It's question 25 that we're looking at. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to answer which expression is equivalent to y plus 12 over x minus 8 plus y over x times x minus 8 over x squared y minus 8xy. I do want to note now that there is a way to do this using the graphing calculator so that you can use, if you have time, in order to check your answers. However, I do think that the fastest way to do this is just by hand. So when you're adding two fractions, as we know, you need a common denominator, which we do not have here. One of the easiest ways to multiply and find a common denominator is to use the butterfly method. That's where you would multiply this here and here, and this here and here. But I don't recommend doing that here because it's going to make this really complicated and it's just going to be really tough to simplify at the end. So instead, what I recommend doing is factoring both sides of those denominators, and seeing what common factors already exist there. So you have y plus 12 over x minus 8. And x minus 8, that's pretty much done. That can't really be factored anymore. But if you look on the other side in the numerator, they already did some factoring for you. You have y over x minus 8. And then in the denominator, you have x squared y and minus 8xy. And what you're going to notice there is that there's some common factors that you can factor out. I see an x and a y over here, and I see two x's and a y over here, which means there's definitely an x and a y. If I pull out x and y, let's see what's left. In this term over here on the left, I'm going to have an x left. And in the term on the right, I'm going to have a minus 8 left. So when we have something that looks like that, there's already more that we can cancel out and play around with. In the first place, I can cancel out these y's over here. We don't need those anymore. In the second place, I might notice that I have an x minus 8 over here in the denominator of the right side, and I have one up top. So I can technically cancel those out, but I can also leave it there because there's actually also an x minus 8 here, and I'm gonna have to multiply that back over there. So why cancel it out? Why cancel it out? Instead, let me see what's missing here on the left side. I have an x minus 8 over here, but I don't have this x. I need this x. So I'm gonna take this x that's left over and I'm gonna multiply it to the numerator and the denominator. I'm going to multiply this by x over x because if you don't multiply to the numerator and the denominator, it's going to change the value. So we have x times y plus 12 in the numerator, and in the denominator, we have x over x minus 8. Sorry, x times x minus 8. On the other side, we did some crossing out, so we should write this out one more time. And just in general, I really recommend that you write things out in a nice new line so that you see them better and you're not going to get confused. And what's left down here is x times x minus 8. So we did that work, and now we have the same denominator in each of these. So now we just have to multiply and add across the top. So I'm going to simplify this part over here by using the distributive property, which is where I can multiply what's outside the parentheses, the x, by both things inside. So you're going to have x, y plus 12x. And then over here, on the other side, on the right side, you have x minus 8. And then in the denominator, you have x times x minus 8. So now let's do some adding together. We have over here xy plus 12x plus x. So that's going to be xy plus 13x minus 8. And in the denominator, we're going to have x times x minus y. Which we can multiply it out, and we're going to get x squared minus 8y. The problem is it doesn't look like any of those are in our answer choices, but we know for a fact that when you multiply something by the numerator and denominator, it might look a little different. However, you do have to keep in mind that that 13 over there and that 8 over there are probably going to show up in the answer choice. So I'm going to concentrate right now on C and D. And I'm going to suss out or figure out whether C or D are actually another form of the answer that I already have. And what you'll see is if you multiply the top of my expression that I've written out here and the bottom by y, what you're going to get when you use the distributive property once more is something that looks exactly like choice C, which makes the answer choice C.